So there's this awesome quote, and it says, "Don't choose the better man, choose the man who makes you a better woman." And now that applies both ways. So it's don't choose the better woman, choose the woman who makes you a better man. And I love that. I think that's just so on point and so important. And I think a lot of people aren't considering who truly aligns with them and inspires them and pulls the best out of them, right? And we got to take that into account when we're selecting the person to be with. But there's a lot of other things that we're going to talk about, men specifically, use as criteria, we'll call it hidden criteria, in choosing a woman. Now, I'm labeling these things hidden criteria because a lot of these things are not always directly discussed. Like, you're typically not going to hear some of the things on this list from a man directly saying to you, hey, you know what, this didn't work out because of this issue. But I'm going to tell you what that issue may be, what I've heard directly from men, what I know men are considering. And when we say choosing a woman, we're talking about for serious, committed relationship, and more specifically, someone they can see as potentially being their future wife. All right. So many things to consider, but let's get to it. So one of the first things, and this is in no particular order, one of the hidden criteria men use when choosing a woman to be with is, can I bring her around my family and friends? All right. So men, this is not all men. I have to put it out there before y'all take this the wrong way. But a lot of men, a good amount of men, I want to say can be very judgmental. All right. Now, I don't want to just throw that label at men, but what I am saying is that men are really like dissecting that woman as far as how she presents herself and how that fits into his world. Family, friends, now even add to that work. All right. And let me start with the work angle before we get into family and friends. Depending on the type of guy you are dating or interested in dating, let's say he's a doctor, lawyer, aspiring politician. Of course, these aren't the most common of occupations, but they exist, right? Any occupation where this man is going to be amongst other individuals that he's going to have to know how to network, and he's going to have to present a clean family image to help him get ahead. He's going to be very particular about the woman he has by his side. Now, the unfortunate reality to this issue is that the woman that he will choose to be by his side may not always be the woman that he is most deeply in love with. May not be the woman he is most intrigued by, most turned on by, most drawn to. However, she fits that lifestyle and his goal of getting further and being able to navigate through certain social circles. Okay? So he is looking at how she speaks, how she carries herself. And in today's world, because we live in a very social media online world, how she presents herself online. These things are going to be taken into consideration, but it doesn't stop at just work. It does go into family and friends. Now, of course, it's going to be very dependent on what kind of family and friend circle does he have. So if he has a very, I'm going to use the word ratchet circle of family and friends, right? Then he may be more flexible in the woman and how she presents herself. If anything, if she's too, as he views her, too quote unquote bougie, to not align with that more laid back quote unquote ratchet, however you want to define that, right? Style, that could actually be like, I don't know, that won't really work. She may not be feeling my family and they may not be feeling her. Okay? You can flip it around. He comes from a very bougie family, bougie background, and that's going to be, and it can go further with even culture. there's so many men. I've come across so many stories as a coach where a man is like, I remember one time it was a situation where it was a Muslim man and he was dating a Christian woman. And he really was into the woman. He really cared about her. He really wanted to be with her. But his family was like strict. You ain't bringing no non-Muslim here. End of story. And, of course, if she's willing to convert, that's a different story. But she wasn't. And it was a point of contention for a long time. And eventually things did not work out with those two individuals. Okay. And so there's a lot of different instances where culture conflicts, and even culture, whether it be from a religious standpoint, from a nationality standpoint, whatever the case may be, all these things are playing in the background. And again, as I said in the beginning of the video, this is not typically, well, some men will tell you, hey, this won't work for my family. Some men will never say it because they don't want to offend you, but they want to kick it with you, or they want to enjoy spending time with you, but they know in the long run, this is not going to integrate well. So for you as a woman, I will say, if you are dating a man and you got to be honest with yourself when you see conflicts in who you are as a woman and the world that he lives in. Again, whether that's culture, work, friends, family, whatever. And if there are disconnects, you want to address them. Do not assume it's all good. All right? Talk about it. Now, if he says to you, no, baby, you're fine. That's not a problem. Oh, they don't care about that. Whatever case. All right, cool. I'm not saying no man won't lie, but if he gives you the green light and says everything's fine, cool. But I see a lot of women not address the elephant in the room, right? And then get dragged along months, maybe even years, only for things to end and not realize that whole time he always knew the chances of this going any further were extremely unlikely because of this conflict in styles, culture, so on and so forth. So it is definitely one of those hidden criteria men will use to choose a woman, and you got to be aware of it. All right, so here's another hidden criteria men will use to choose a woman to be with, and that is, do you know how to minimize or stay away from drama? Okay? Now, this is something that may not always be, again, it's not always articulated by a man and said flat out. Men aren't usually just going to come out and say, oh, you're too much of a drama queen, I can't deal with you. Some men will, but many will just recognize it and be like, nah, I can't do it. Nah. And again, I really want to highlight the fact that none of these criterias eliminate you necessarily from him wanting to still spend time with you, sleep with you, or whatever. So you have to make sure you don't confuse that, because he may still be interested in those things with you, but they could stop you from being viewed as, I can actually spend my life with her. I can be more serious and committed with her. Excuse me. So drama, you've heard me say, you hear people on the internet say it, how to be a man's peace. Man wants peace. Peace is something that men value very much. And what are one of the things that rob men of peace? Drama, especially unnecessary drama. Now, we're not talking about the guy who's creating the drama, all right? We're not talking about the one who's giving you drama and then you're reacting to his drama and then he wants to call you being overly dramatic. No. We're talking about the guy who, especially when he is that more laid back, he doesn't get into all that mess. Like, that guy has a much lower tolerance for drama. Because you see, if a man is very unhealthy from within or into getting into drama himself, because there are men like that, he may not eliminate you from contention, so to speak, because that's the world he lives in. And if you do drama too, well, he doesn't even recognize that as an unhealthy issue. But the guys who are not like that, whether they have other issues or not, if they're not about that drama, it's going to be a problem. And so when we talk about learning or understanding how to avoid or minimize drama, you really got to ask yourself, one, am I engaging myself or pushing myself into situations that I don't need to be bothered with in the first place? Because a lot of drama could be eliminated if we just left the situation alone. All right. Too many people interject themselves. And it's like there's this quote that says, you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Like, yo, you got to learn how to recognize this just is not worth it. Okay. I just want to give you a perfect example. Me being in the position that I am on social media, and I've been doing this for like 15 or more years now. It's crazy. But anyways, I've learned over the years, because I used to have more time to be in the comments, right? Or I was the one actually responding to comments all the time. Now it's like a mixture. Anyways, so back then you'd have these people who want to challenge you and things like that. And there's this natural inclination in many of us to want to rebuttal or to face that challenge. And you start finding yourself in this back and forth. And I learned how to recognize people who are not looking to have an intelligent, logical discussion, who are not looking to learn or debate respectfully. They are looking to just vent. They are looking to argue. They're looking to start something, okay? And when you understand who that person is, you recognize or understand that there's nothing you can say that's going to make them be like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, you got a good point there. All right, fine. No, they will keep going. You respond to, they're going to respond to that one. And you're going to be there forever. And before you know it, and here's the thing about interjecting yourself into too much drama unnecessarily. Even if you're not making this man be directly a part of the drama. So you're not saying, hey, baby, come jump in these comments with me, or jump on this phone and have this argument with me. What you are making him deal with is the negative energy that you take in from dealing with that drama. So you go over there, you have that unnecessary argument, unnecessary back and forth that was going to lead to nowhere. Let's say it's on the phone. You get off the phone, and whether you realize it or not, your attitude is bad now. You're in a funky mood. You're not happy. You're irritable. And he has to deal with that. And it's like he didn't do anything to cause it, so that makes it even more frustrating. And it's like, yo, if you would just learn to stay away from those things and protect your peace, you would then be able to create more peace within yourself, which then allows you to create more peace within your relationship, within your household, within any environment you walk into. All right. So it's important that you recognize the unnecessary things you need to just leave alone. And if anything, if you find yourself, because sometimes we don't go looking for drama, drama finds us. Okay. It's life. But you got to learn how to properly decompress. You got to learn how to not let it get out of control and push you into a frantic or extremely negative place. And then again, go emotionally dump on your partner. And it's one thing if it happens every blue moon. A man who likes you, who sees potential in you, isn't going to be like, oh, this one time she got caught up in some nonsense, I'm not dealing with her anymore. That's typically not going to be the case unless he has some other problems going on. But when it's reoccurring, when it's constant, that has to be taken care of. So being able to minimize or stay out of drama is going to be something that he evaluates about you when deciding who to choose as a potential wife. All right, so let's keep this going. And another hidden criteria a lot of men use when choosing a woman to be with is, can she cook a good meal? Now, some of y'all are sensitive. I already know some of y'all sucked your teeth or shook your head or something. You're not feeling it. Some of you probably smile because you're like, oh, I love to cook, or I know I'm good. Either way, hear me out, okay? Let me first say that, again, this is not every man. We live in a world, I have male friends personally, some in relationships, some married, some single, who love cooking. There's one of my homeboys that's coming to mind right now. He's married. He loves cooking. So to him, he never needed or looked for the woman to be able to do it. That was something that he didn't mind taking on. So you have a lot of guys in today's world that they'll cook too, right? I don't know how, I won't say that's the majority of men, but there's plenty of them. But I think there is probably a greater majority of men who still would love to have a woman who knows how to cook. And more specifically, this is important in regards to choosing a potential wife, because if a guy's just trying to have fun with you, date you casually, sleep with you, you being able to give him a meal is not priority to him. It's not that much of a concern. But if he's going to be spending his life with you, waking up to you every day, he wants to know, all right, she can take care of me with one of my most important needs, the need to eat, okay? I'll tell y'all straight up, I had a couple I counseled, this is many years ago, and they weren't married, they were in a long-term relationship, and long story short, one of the complaints that he made, I think they were together at that point for 7 years, and that man said to me, in these 7 years that we have been together, she has never cooked me a meal. She can't cook. Everything is takeout. Everything is order food. And he said flat out, like, I'm not comfortable marrying her, even though, I know some of y'all are saying, well, if you're not comfortable marrying her, why are you still with her after 7 years? You're absolutely correct. But we're not going to get all into that right now. The point is, he did make mention of how, like, I'm not comfortable taking that next step with her when this woman is unwilling to learn how to cook, and I have to always eat fast food, okay? So it is a thing. Now, again, as a woman, you have to decide for yourself if that's something that you want to make part of your repertoire, okay? I do think it's a great tool to have in the toolbox, okay? Listen, I think everybody, men and women, should learn at least basic cooking skills, okay? I hate cooking, despise it. But if I gotta cook something, I can make it work. I can do enough to get by, all right? But do I want to? Absolutely not. But I think everybody should learn something. But again, I think when a woman knows how to cook, and especially when she actually can find joy in it, it's a very powerful thing. One quick note I want to mention is being able to cook is so powerful. I've told women before, like, on your social media, people love posting thirst traps, right? Post some food traps or some thirst traps with food. Like, you'd be surprised. Show yourself cooking some meals or put some meals that you made, get some good lighting, take a nice picture. Believe it or not, that draws men in too. Especially when he already finds you attractive. It's like, oh, she know how to cook too. That just automatically, even if it's not the highest priority for him, it's going to make you become more attractive and again, become more of a viable candidate for someone he would actually want to take serious. All right, so before we continue, again, be sure to go to my shop, StephanSpeaksShop.com. Go after you finish watching the video, of course. And you'll be able to get tickets to my upcoming tour, Time for a Change tour, and any events I have going on, because there's always new events that's being posted. You'll be able to get copies of my book. You'll be able to get coaching set. Whatever you need is all at my shop. So go again to StephanSpeaksShop.com or click the link in the description or in the comment section as well. So now let's keep this thing moving. And another hidden criteria men use to choose a woman to be with is, can she run a household? Okay? So I'll start with this quick little short story. I knew somebody who told me, he met his wife in college. And he was a guy who he had tons of women wanting to be with him, okay? And he was in the early stages of his life, but he knew he was headed for big things. He knew he was going to be striving for big things, and he needed somebody that could hold things down. And he said, one of the big reasons why he chose his wife specifically was because he felt like she could run a household. He felt like if I'm out, on a business trip, if I got to do whatever, if work is taking me away, things aren't going to fall apart. She's going to be able to handle it. It's not going to be her blowing my phone up. What I got to do here? How do I do this? She will figure it out. She will get it done. And that was very attractive to him and what he felt was very necessary. And I do believe that for a lot of men, again, it may not always be spoken and articulated, but it is thought about to some degree. You want a woman that can just handle things. Because I'm going to give you another quick short story. I know another guy, very successful man, very wealthy guy, was with a woman, and he was taking care of everything, all right? Paying for everything, doing everything. And one day I spoke to him, and he mentioned how, like, they were having a conflict because she wanted him to get her some I forgot what it was, something that she wanted. It might have been like a purse. It was something material. And to him, it was like, listen, I get this woman everything. I'm tired of this. And she has some money of her own, even though I already pay for everything. Now, my issue, or my concern, not issue, was, listen, I don't have because he was like, is it okay to really just be paying for everything, especially when the woman has some money of her own? And I said, listen, personally, I don't have a problem with that. As far as the man paying for everything. As long as she's doing for you what you need in return. There is, both sides have to be pouring into each other. They don't have to both pour in financially. For some who want it that way, that's your choice. But it's not necessarily about we have to do everything equally. It's just, all right, what are you bringing that brings stability and harmony to our relationship? And then what do you bring in return to add to that? So I asked him, is she doing her any, where is she adding value in your life and making it easier? And he was like, I do everything. If something around the house happens, if this issue needs to be taken care of, it's everything. And I said, okay, that's a problem. That's a problem. If she can't hold things down, if she has to rely on you and put it on you, and you're carrying all the burdens, that's not healthy. That's not good. This isn't going to work like this. Things need to change. Okay? So, getting back to the point that there are tons of men, regardless of whatever their financial status is, they want to know that they have a woman competent enough. And I don't want to use the word ambitious, but sharp enough to be able to handle things on her own. And when I say handle things on her own, again, it's not to say men are looking to just dump, for you to carry the whole burden, so to speak, so that they don't have to deal with, well, I guess some technically are, but that's not the point. The point is handling on your own in the sense of you're not going to overburden me, especially if I'm handling my business otherwise in this relationship. Okay? I need you to be able to take care of this by yourself. So it is something that men pay attention to. And believe it or not, this is why some men have said to me, they like dating a woman with kids, right? They like dating a woman that they are able to see she can handle things, that she already has developed certain skills, rather than someone who is maybe living at home, hasn't had to take care of herself, hasn't had to do anything for herself, so she may not know how to hold things down, all right? And there's other men who just feel like, I don't want to be dating a princess. I don't want to be dating someone I have to be waiting on hand and foot, and she cannot handle things for herself. I need a partner that can handle business. Anyways, that's the point. That's something that they're looking at. Another thing to be mindful of. All right, so another hidden criteria, and this one's not so hidden nowadays, but let's talk about it. Another hidden criteria men use to choose a woman to be with is, will she honor my leadership? So honestly, it boils down to, will she listen to me? Okay. Now, I know some of you, when you hear, will she listen to me? Some of y'all get a little triggered because you receive that as if, oh, I just have to do what I'm told. He's just trying to be my dictator. No. He just wants to know you're not going to fight with him every single time he asks something of you or tells you to do something or suggests you do it this way or whatever the case may be, which is the experience a lot of men are having. It's like everything they put out there, there's pushback. There's always these unnecessary questions. It reminds me one time, and I have to use this. This was a great point a friend made. I have a good friend. He's military. And one time he told me, I think he said like, don't turn around or something like that. Or like, move this way. And I was like, for what? Like, what do you mean? And he told me later, he was like, listen, you know me. You know I'm your boy. If I tell you move this way, I'm seeing something you ain't see. But in that moment, remember, he's very military minded. In that moment, you asking all these questions, boom, what if there's a guy, he jumped in the store, had a gun, I tell you move, you don't move, boom, shot in the head. Done. You know what I'm saying? That was a little graphic, but you know what I mean? Sometimes it's like we gotta trust our partners. That's business. That's sports, that's relationships, right? That's family, everything. Sometimes it's like we got to learn to build a level of trust that we don't have to question everything. You know what I'm saying? We know this. So if that man says, I need you to go do this right now, it doesn't always have to be this argument on why. It's like, yo, if he's not a bad man, if he's not a man that takes advantage of you, showing you disrespect, right? Why are you making it a hassle? Okay? Same way, I'll use a different example for me. Growing up, I learned this. You know, I'm the only boy in the family of 3 sisters. One of them is my twin sister, for those of y'all who don't know. All right. And they will tell you I was spoiled. I don't agree. That's a whole different discussion. Anyways, I remember when I was younger, if my mother or even them or whoever in the house asked me to do something, I would constantly like, either hesitate to do it, drag my feet. Well, why you got to ask me? Why can't this person? Boom, 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 boom. And I had to eventually I don't remember when that point happened, but I know I got to a point where I was like, why am I doing that? My family loves me. I love them. All right, maybe they could have asked somebody else. Maybe my mom could have asked who cares? She asked me, just go do it. Right? And I learned, like now, I'm confident if you were to ask them now, anytime I'm in their presence, say, oh, go grab this. I just go. I can grab it. There's no reason to question it. You know what I'm saying? And I would be the same way with a partner, with a romantic partner. If she's like, hey, go take care of this. All right, cool. Like, I know you're a good woman. I know you're not trying to boss me around right now. So why would I take it that way? So flipping it back to y'all, some of y'all are very sensitive, very on guard, right? To where you have a lot of resistance to his leadership, to his direction, to his requests, okay? And you make situations difficult when they don't need to be. And you got to remember, like, my thing is this: if this man that you're dating, that you're married to, that you're with, whatever, is not a good enough man to just go with the flow of that moment, not the flow of a relationship. You know, I'm against the whole go with the flow in a general relationship. But in that moment of him making that request, of him asking this of you, if he's not good enough to just flow with that in that moment, why are you with him? Why are you with him? If he's genuinely a problem, then you shouldn't be with him. And if he's not genuinely a problem, then the problem is resting within yourself. And you got to resolve whatever that is. And I can assure you, you remove whatever that is, you're going to find so much more harmony and so much more peace in your experiences and relationships. I can assure you of that. And again, if your fear is, but then eventually maybe he will start to take advantage, you are a smart enough woman that if he starts to go that route, you will see it and you will have the opportunity to address it and nip it in the bud. But you don't need to be on guard, fearing for something that might happen that hasn't even happened. All right, so we got a couple more to go. So another criteria, hidden criteria that men use to choose a woman to be with or to decide if she can be a potential wife is is she able to be a good mother to my children? Now, of course, if he doesn't have children yet, it's to future children. And if he has kids already, it's to the kids I already currently have. And so a lot of men, because there's a lot of men out there who desire to have kids, and they have to consider what kind of woman they are going to attach themselves to. And it's so crazy because we live in a world that more and more people are shunning marriage and making the argument of, the level of commitment that marriage is. That's just too much. But then we'll have kids with somebody, which to me is the ultimate commitment. Like, you ain't getting rid of that person for at least, and not even, we can say 18 years. Let's be real. It goes way beyond 18 years, okay? You may be able to decrease the level of interaction after 18 years, but you still have to cross paths. There's still going to be graduations, birthday, whatever, moments where you may have to see each other. Anyways, with men wanting children, they're considering that. And so they're looking to see, is this woman nurturing? Is she loving? Does she have the level of patience to take care of kids? Is she a responsible enough adult to be able to handle children? Can I trust leaving my children in this person's presence or under this person's guardianship? And hopefully it would be our children if that man was to choose you. So it is something, I think a lot of women are fully capable of being great mothers. But I think a lot of women, some don't recognize some of the things that are blocking those qualities. Okay? So for some women, the ability to be more emotionally present, be more loving, be more nurturing, can be rooted in unresolved hurt, unresolved emotional trauma that they need to heal from. Okay? Now, some women, some of y'all may not even want kids. And so for you, of course, your idea, this type of guy isn't really, you're not worried about him. The guy you need is someone who either doesn't want kids or already had his kids and he's not expecting any out of you. Okay? And, people got to go where they're in alignment with each other. But for those of you who also want kids, this is why a lot of things I mentioned on this list will contribute, if not all, will contribute to being viewed as a good potential mother. All right. And so it's important. And I hate to bring it back up, but this also comes back to being able to cook. I'm just keeping it real with y'all, because ain't nobody trying to have kids when the kids got to eat takeout all the time too. Like that same couple I mentioned earlier, they didn't have any kids. He's like, I'm not bringing a child into this. All right. So that's going to play its role. But yes, motherhood is definitely one of those things that men are looking at. All right. And now last but not least, and I'll be honest, I can't even say this is the majority of, let me not say that. That'd be unfair. Let me just get to the point. The other hidden criteria a lot of men are looking for in choosing a wife or choosing a woman to be with is, does she have God in her life? All right. This again is one of those things where I think, especially when it's the man who's using this as a criteria, it's not always vocalized. Like, there's men out there who they have God in their life. They may not be as outwardly expressive about it, right? So it goes very under the radar, because when you look around, you're like, well, these guys seem that very spiritual. They may not be going to church every Sunday, but you don't realize them dudes are praying. Some of them might be reading scripture. They have God, and there is a priority that they have with that. And when they date a woman, they are paying attention. But again, there's not always a discussion about it. And if he recognizes, she's like far away from that, again, it goes back to, okay, I may want to spend some time with her, enjoy her. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's what the man should do. I'm just telling you that's what happens in many cases. but I cannot see her as a long-term answer to who I want to be with, because without that, again, the alignment is missing. As well as for some men, they may feel like with that woman not having God in her life, she doesn't have the proper foundation for him to believe that she will embrace the characteristics and the traits necessary to be that great wife that he's looking for. Okay? Now, again, men to me evaluate the spirituality of a woman, I believe in many cases differently than the woman evaluates the spirituality of the man. I do believe, when I hear a lot of women speak about, well, he wasn't on the right level, or he wasn't where I want him to be, they're naming things like, oh, I don't see him going to church, or I don't see him reading the Bible, or I don't see him praising and work. Like, they're looking for things on the surface. And for him, he's looking more a lot of times in the mindset. All right. And in the, how you embrace God. And when he brings up God, how do you respond to that? Because I remember seeing this TikTok recently where it was some dating thing, and the guy mentioned God, and one of the girls, oh, God stuff. Like, she rejected it. And right there, it's like, as a man, you already know, okay, this isn't going to work, but a lot of men will let their desires, fleshly desires, get the best of them and still try to entertain some level of relationship with the woman. Okay. But one way or another, that is important. And at the end of the day, listen, I don't tell you all these things because I want you to try to be something that you're not. I want you to be you. I want you to tap into your true self. And I really believe for many of you, if not all of you, at least one or more of these things on this list is something that you can tap into in a way that is going to shine more in your life. And if you don't even feel like, well, that's not who I am, I believe for some of you, we gotta resolve some of the things that have been suppressing those parts of you that actually do exist, right? But at the end of the day, I want you to be your best you. I want you to be your authentic self, because I want you to receive the man who is truly in alignment with you. And I just want you to be aware of the things that can separate a woman from being just someone I want to hang with versus someone I'm willing to spend my life with. Thank you for watching this video. I pray it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on why a man chooses one woman over another. This is why a man chooses one woman over another.